Thank you. Whenever I can walk out of Low Library and not be let out in handcuffs, it's a good day. It is quite an honor to be here with you, class of 2010, with your deans and professors, so many of New York's finest who I got to know well while I was here at college. As you step out of here today, you will define your legacy and that of our country. These are days when we each are called to be clear about what we want, not just from our lives, but for this world. These are days of Dickensian contradiction. Walk into the Department of Justice, and you will be greeted by photos of two men, both graduates of this college. And beneath their names, you will see the words President and Attorney General. A few weeks ago, if you walked into a field north of here in upstate New York, you would have seen pictures of these same two men, held above the heads of angry protesters with words scrolled beneath their pictures saying, "Lynch Eric Holder, lynch President Obama." These men, these women fantasize about taking us back to the 18th century, and they distort what our founding fathers and mothers hoped for all of us. Let's party like it's 1776, says Sarah Palin. As if the 18th century was good for any of us. I mean, sure, rich white men could vote, but their life expectancy was about 38. And in the wake that she and others leave as they crisscross across this country, the governor of Arizona has just penned a law that greatly empowers the ability of your local police department in Phoenix or in Tucson to put you in jail if you don't have your papers on you and they think you look or you sound like you might be foreign. I will leave here this afternoon and walk over to a press conference where we will announce that we're filing a lawsuit with the ACLU to invalidate that law. And this Wednesday, I'll be in Texas, where former Secretary of Education Rodney Page and I will be taking on the governor and his school board, who want to change the way that the children across the South are taught, to minimize what they learn about Thomas Jefferson, to minimize the very use of the word democracy, to maximize the portrayal of the Confederacy, and to defend Senator Joe McCarthy. I say to you, class of 2010, let's party like it's 2010. Let's party like ours is the nation that brought the world the 21st century, and yours is the generation that will define it. And now is the time for you to declare that we will move this country ever forward and never backward. Because now is the time for all of us who believe in the greatness of this country to stand up. Now is the time for all of us who would rather build this country up and out of this recession than tear it apart and leave it in it. Now is the time for all of us who believe in hope, not hate, to speak up and be heard. Because change is what happens each and every day, not just what happens on election day. If you've learned anything while at this college, in this city, you have learned how to listen to people who do not look like you, do not sound like you, did not grow up where you grew up. This is the most valuable thing you can carry out into this world. The first time I left this campus, it was involuntarily. And blessed with some refunded financial aid dollars, some loans, bought a Jeep, and I headed down to Mississippi, where the governor was seeking to shut down a historically black university and turn it into a prison. Sort of like the school-to-prison pipeline, no pipeline. School to prison. We showed up just after Byron De La Beckwith had been put in prison 30 years too late for having killed NAACP leader Medgar Evers. And we announced that we would have a big protest to show the world and Mississippi that Mississippians did not believe in turning colleges into prisons. The Klan put out a press release. I kid you not, they apparently have a press secretary. The Klan put out a press release saying that they would kill one or all of the 4 leaders of the protest, and I was one of those. And we decided that it was important that this protest not just have black Mississippians, and it also have white Mississippians, because you could walk around and hear murmurs and know that there were lots of people who disagreed with the governor's plan. But given the charge to find white liberals in Mississippi in 1994, we figured Earth Day was the best place to look for them. And so we sent out teams of student organizers to all of the historically white campuses, and sadly in Mississippi, that's the history. You only have historically white colleges and historically black colleges. And by 6 o'clock, all of them had checked in except for one. And by midnight, I fell asleep at my desk. I know you all can't recall this, but there was a day before cell phones. I fell asleep at my desk waiting for them to call in. And at 2 a.m., the phone rang, and they said, "Ben, we're okay, but we had a bad situation up at Mississippi State. We need you to get down to the Waffle House right away." Well, like any college jock, you couldn't keep me away from Waffle House. So I hopped in my car and I ran down there. We huddled around the table. They explained that the students wouldn't let them speak till the end, and they meant the very end, after it turned into a keg party in the Third Encore, Sweet Home, Alabama. Yeah, it's a great song. They were lit up to speak, and they chanted, "Save the black colleges," and the crowd roared back, "Get a rope." And here in the Piney Woods of Mississippi, north of Philadelphia, where New Yorkers Goodman and Schwerner, and Mississippian Cheney were ordered to their death by the local sheriff, they ran to their cars, and they did that little Mississippi two-step where you drive just fast enough to get the heck out of town and just slow enough that the sheriff won't notice you. And we were huddled around this table in this Waffle House, and there was a man staring at us, an old white man who had gold rings on every finger and a baggy shirt, in a state where for $100 and no felonies you can carry a firearm wherever you want to go. And he kept staring at us real hard. And we noticed in that instant that his shirt was baggy and it hung below his pant line, and we were the only black folks in the restaurant, and it was 3 a.m. at this point. We'd been there debating and discussing. And he walked over to our table carrying 2 large bags, and he looked at us real intently and said, "Are you all the boys I've been seeing on television?" Now I was from California by way of New York, and one guy was from St. Louis, and another was from New Orleans, and a third was from Chicago. The 4 of us, in other words, were not accustomed to anybody calling us boy who wasn't our boy, and let alone some old dude at 3 o'clock in the morning who looked like he might want to kill us. But we were the only black folks in the restaurant, and the Klan had put out a press release, and so we just looked at him and we said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Hold on a second." And he turned around to put down his to-go order, and his dominant hand was hidden. And 2 of the other organizers were football players, and they were getting ready to jump him because they were convinced that he was going to swing around and shoot us. And I said, "Hold up, let's just listen to what he has to say." And they gave me this look like, "Ben, we might be dead by the time he says it." And I said, "Just hold up, hear what he has to say." And he spun around, and he extended his hand, and he said, "Well, I just want to shake your hand. Because if I've been born an N-word, in this crazy state, I'd be mad as heck too. I own the used car lot right down Highway 49. Explain the gold rings. If you need anything, if you need some money, if you need a car, you just come and see me and know that I'm always on your side. So the next morning, I sent the organizers down there to get $100 from him. Because I was getting paid $85 a week and I needed to get paid. And they needed their faith in humanity restored. Because the day before, we had made a critical mistake. We had assumed that we knew who our allies were. And we assumed that we knew who our ally certainly wasn't. And one got us a death threat to our face from an angry crowd. And the other got us an open hand from a man who we assumed could give us nothing but grief. That is the courage that going to school in New York City teaches you. That is the gift that you bring from here out into the world. In these times, when we see the graduates of this college as heroes, and angry mobs see them as boys to be lynched, let us all be clear that we are the change this country needs. You are the ones who will make sure that it happens. And most importantly, when faced with that moment of choice, always go with your gut. It always pays off in the very end. Thank you and God bless.